All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Sovereign CEO podcast. I am Carla Joy Treadway, and today we're going to be talking about Trump tariffs and what that means for you as a Canadian business owner. This is a really heavy week, and I'm getting really frustrated seeing all the Canadians online just absolutely erupt in emotion without really fully understanding what's going on and what's actually got us here. So there's a lot of people just mad at America. We just had a hockey game where people were booing during the national anthem, which is absolutely ridiculous. You're at a hockey game. America didn't do this for you. America didn't put you in a precarious position. And you know what? Trump's not the only one that brought you here. I think Trump is amplifying what's happening to Canada. I'm not excited about these tariffs. I think this is going to be really bad for Canadians. I'm not promoting what he's doing. I don't think he's an infallible person. I think you have every right to be mad at Trump right now. But if you're not more mad at Trudeau, if the majority of this rage and attention and speech isn't directed at Trudeau, your anger is misplaced. Trudeau already wrecked the economy. And I don't understand why more people don't know that. And these are not just my feelings. Here are some facts for you. Since Trudeau, the national debt has doubled. Crime is up by 50%. The average cost of a home is $700,000. That means our children right now, that dream of going to university and getting a good job and buying a home, it's not going to happen. The We have homelessness up 25%. 6.5 million Canadians don't have a doctor. If you want to get a simple scan like an MRI, you're looking at a minimum of 13 weeks, but sometimes months ahead. We have a housing, healthcare, and energy crisis. This is the only stat you need. 1 in 20 Canadians are choosing government assisted euthanasia. It's the fifth leading cause of death in Canada. And this is not a conversation about whether or not this should be allowed. That stat tells you that tons and tons of Canadians who are not destined for death right now and insufferable conditions. We're talking about Canadians who are depressed, Canadians who are anxious, Canadians who can't find work, a home, who are addicted to drugs, who are homeless. Those people are choosing government assisted euthanasia. And I'm sure the government is happy to oblige because it's much cheaper for them than solving problems. We also pay some of the highest taxes in the world. For what? And if you've watched the size of the government grow, I don't know what the actual stat is, how much it's grown and bloated itself over the last few years. Uh, we don't have anything good to show for that. Imagine having some of the world's greatest, cleanest oil reserves in the world and not allowing Canadians to build pipelines within your own country. They're blocking pipelines, they're blocking development while purchasing oil and gas from other nations, just so they can virtue signal and say that we are eradicating fossil fuels. They're still using them, they're still buying them. Also, guys, even us doing it, it doesn't even make a blip in climate change. It doesn't influence climate change in a significant way. While you have India and China building coal plants right now, it does absolutely nothing but destroy our economy and put us in a really vulnerable position. I'm getting really angry at all this Canada First rhetoric. It should have always been Canada First. And all the people that are chanting Canada First, I mean, where were you the last 4 years? Well, we've been doing that. Well, many of us have been fighting for all the small businesses that closed during the pandemic after being forcefully closed for up to 2 years while people were shopping at Walmart and Costco and Amazon. It's never been Canada First. The Trudeau Liberals only care about the party. They tell you that they're here for the people, but it's actually about the party. And they've had a degrowth plan since the Pierre Elliott Trudeau days. That has degrowth has been the plan, meaning slow, controlled demolition of our nation. They don't want to develop our resources. Capitalism is evil, socialism is the way. They don't want the country to flourish. And when Trudeau flew to Trump, Trump already kind of knew this, but then Trudeau laid out all his cards because he's a terrible negotiator and said, if you do this, this will destroy Canada. It's because it was already on its way out. So I'm sitting back and watching Canadians with Trump derangement syndrome absolutely lose their minds over Orange Man bad without recognizing what has already been done to Canada. Those stats are real. I understand, as a former liberal, why you want your ideology to work. It doesn't. And maybe if the Trudeau Liberals acted as classical liberals, actual liberals, and weren't pure socialists at this point, maybe we wouldn't be in this position. But they are so far left. They are so addicted to this globalist ideal, this post nationalist state. They don't care about Canada crumpling. They're more interested in being a part of the big boy club, the WEF, the globalists in Davos. That's more important to them than helping Canada rise up. I don't like what's about to happen here in Canada, but you know what? I haven't liked what's happened to Canada over the last 8 years, and that's what Canadians aren't seeing. You can hate Trump. Go ahead and be mad at Trump. But again, if you're more mad at Trump than at Trudeau, you're completely in the dark here. And you know what? I kind of think the Trudeau Liberals are happy right now. Notice that Trudeau fake resigned right before this happened, and then he pro-wronged Parliament so that he could make now sweeping changes without there being any opposition right now. Do you understand the pickle that we're in? This is a massive economic crisis, and he has prorogued Parliament, meaning your elected officials, the people that you have voted for to represent you, are unable to go to Parliament and talk about solutions to this problem. So he can go and make massive sweeping decisions. The man that just fake resigned, by the way, you're supposed to be gone. You're leaving. Why are you still making decisions? You got us into this mess. He's blocked your MPs, your elected officials from being able to create an actual solution. Also, as a side note, for people that still think that we have democracy, since 2015, Trudeau has appointed 90 out of 105 Canadian senators. 90 out of 105. So, hey, why aren't those positions elected? But two, if you know, like our parliamentary system is always praised, but it's this top-down system of control where the Senate is able to really block or pass through anything that happens in the House. So, A, we've blocked the House. They can't do anything in Parliament right now. Even if it was open, he's got full control of the Senate right now. We have a quasi dictatorship right now. And you have lefties right now looking at Trump and posting photos of the Handmaid's Tale and calling Republicans fascist, while not being self reflective at all. So you have people that are stealing your tax dollars, giving it away to causes that we don't support. They have blocked independent media on social media. They are funding the majority of our mainstream media outlets that are completely biased in the favor of the liberals. In the past few years, you have basically a coalition government with the NDP propping up everything that the liberals are doing. This is not democracy. And a lot of Canadians are happy about this because their side is winning. And what I'd like to say to that is you're extremely short sighted. If you wouldn't want the Conservatives having that kind of top down totalitarian control, right? Then this is not a system that you should be praising. So, as much as I would like the Conservatives to just manhandle this whole situation and flip this thing and never let a liberal have any kind of influence in the House, I'm not short sighted. I don't want that kind of power in anyone's hand because no politician is perfect. And we got to stop being partisan. We got to stop being addicted to our side and actually see this monstrous situation that we have created. We have a quasi dictatorship right now. Trudeau has prorogued parliament. He's blocked any kind of decision making from being able to happen in the House. He is party before people. He doesn't care about you. Now, why did Trump do this? A lot of people don't believe what Trump is saying, that it is because of fentanyl, drugs, and illegal immigrants. I can say, as someone living in the North, that there are many unmanned borders across Canada, unmanned borders across Canada. And he hasn't explicitly said China, but there are many investigative journalists like Sam Cooper. He wrote the book Willful Blindness, who's been doing this research for about 10 years. Canada absolutely has been compromised by the CCP from other terrorist organizations for human trafficking, drug trafficking, money laundering, all sorts of things. Just very, very recently, uh, Trudeau was trying to attacked the Conservatives by saying 11 MPs in the House have been compromised, and the Conservatives have been yelling at him to say, release the names. Of course, Trudeau has not released the names. We have Mary, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, NG, she was a compromised liberal with the CCP. You hear about these things, and then they just kind of go away. So we have MPs in the House that are compromised by the CCP. My opinion, I think Trump understands that we are seeing this global shifting of power. Canadians need to get their head out of the sand and understand that we are on the verge of multiple world wars right now. We are not immune from this. With this new globalist agenda, there is a shifting of power. You have Russia and China and the US all competing to be the main source of power and control. Things are shifting. And when you hear Trump talk about Canada's 51st state, I think he understands this game of risk that's happening, not just with the US, with all the countries across the world. And I don't think he is a globalist. I think he's against that agenda where Trudeau and the Liberals are completely for this post nationalist state because they've said it. Trump's going to do whatever he has to put America first. Canada is not a strong trading partner, and we've clearly been compromised. And people who think that that's not the reason, well, as soon as Trudeau actually did what Trump wanted, they backed off on the tariffs, which is exactly what he said. You have to tighten up the border, send a bunch of helicopters here, send guards, or you will have tariffs. Are they even taking this seriously? Because I just saw the Liberals donate another $50 million towards to SLQ, whatever that word is now. That's not the time. $50 million would get you a whole lot of Black Ops helicopters to secure our borders right now. And when it comes to being a trading partner, all the Canadians are like, buy Canadian. Yeah, you've always should have done this, first of all. But the Americans aren't going to feel that kind of pain like we are. So Canada exports to the US as a percentage of GDP is 22%, whereas the US exports to Canada as a percentage of GDP is 1.2%. There's no war. The Americans win. The economy's bigger. Their cost of living is down. Their dollar is stronger. And again, everyone posting Canadian flags right now in your bio and talking about Canada first. I have to ask, where were you the last 4 years? When we were protesting, we were standing up for all the small businesses that were being closed, mine included, while the laptop Ottawa elites or government workers got to just stay home and shop from Amazon. Where were you? Right, you were calling us Nazis and white supremacists for having Canadian flags in our bio and fighting for our rights and freedoms. Just an aside. So Trudeau prorogued Parliament to preserve himself, and he refuses to bring it back to save Canada right now because he only cares about himself. And for people that think you can just switch out Mark Carney for Trudeau, Mark Carney was Trudeau's economic advisor this whole time. He's even crazier than Trudeau. He's going to double down on the things that destroy this country. Trudeau's already ruined the economy, and what Trump's doing is just putting a huge magnifying glass on this leadership. Trudeau focused on degrowth of our economy while growing the size of the government, increasing our taxes, and printing our dollar into oblivion. You were screwed going into this. We need an election now. We need this prorogue parliament stopped now. I don't know if it's going to do anything. Write the Governor General, write the Canadian senators, but we need the Liberals gone and the NDP who support them. Just buying Canadian syrup and French's and ketchup, that's not going to save us right now. It's bad. We're in a really bad predicament. And I don't fault Trump for putting America first. Our leaders should have put Canada first 8 years ago. Developing our economy, developing our resources. They have completely weakened this country. This situation wouldn't be this dire situation if we were stronger. Again, the only stat you need to know is that one about MAID. That is horrific. Now, what do you need to know as business owners? One, again, if you're going to participate in politics, please do. The Conservatives are not perfect, but they are the only ones with their head on straight. You cannot go to socialists to fix an economic problem, and you cannot just replace the leader of the Liberal Party, especially considering they were already running the show this whole time. Pressure your MPs, the Governor General, the Senate, to get Parliament back in action and ask for an election now. I don't like right now, the way that things are looking, we're not going to have an election until 2026. I don't think we have that much time. The amount of damage that's going to come between now and then. And again, the Liberals are giddy. They're going to blame all this on Trump. So I am going to be relentless with this messaging. So you already know these stats going into it. It was already bad. It was already crumpling. We were already on the verge of a Venezuelan style collapse because of the Trudeau Liberals the last 8 years. Business owners, you are going to have to practice an incredible amount of discipline because this stuff is really distracting, and you're going to have to develop a long-term strategy for your business so that you survive right now. You're going to need to make a proactive plan for your business, and hopefully that's online. If you have a physical business, I hope you also have one online, because what's going to happen with trade and stock shortages, like that's going to be real. If you are online, find your most profitable product right now and look at it and focus on it and ditch the noise and the other side things that you're doing and ask yourself, how do I make this product better? How do I get my clients better results? And how can I charge more for this thing because it's that good? Get really focused right now. And be proactive. Look to the future at what future problems you might have to solve. You might have to pivot your business model. You might have to pivot your offer right now. I did a whole podcast on should you start a business in uncertain times. And I invite you to go back and listen to it, because we talk about what businesses thrive during world wars, the Great Depression, recessions. It's not just the meat and potatoes businesses that do well. Go and take a listen. People have emotional and practical needs, even during the most horrific times. I want you to go and watch that, listen to that. I want you to start getting really creative. And whatever wealth you have accumulated right now, I would be looking into how you can protect that right now. I was texting my husband today saying, if you were already thinking about buying more gold and silver or investing in some American companies, now is the time. I would not want my money sitting in a Canadian bank account. The Canadian dollar has already went down from this decision. The whole world knows exactly what position we're in right now and how vulnerable we are. So we have to take that seriously. So this is not an upbeat podcast. I'm sorry, but this is real and this is important. Don't get caught up in arguing with people. I made that mistake going into Facebook, seeing just the massive lack of understanding right now. It is good to get involved in the conversation, but we need these guys gone. They have absolutely gotten us into this vulnerable position. Trudeau went to talk to Trump, laid out all our cards, told him it would destroy Canada. Um, that did not help us. Melanie Joly went to America and only talked to the Democrats. She refused to meet with the Republicans and the people in power. Danielle Smith is the only one that has done anything good. I don't know why people hate her. She's the only one that's got her big girl pants on right now. She went down to Mar-a-Lago, and because she did that, the tariffs on oil and gas right now are only 10%. I want to play something for you before I end this. It's something to pay attention to, and it's real, and this is scary, but if you are an entrepreneur, you can do what it takes to survive this thing. But I want to just play this from the former leader of the Conservative Party.
That this government has had over the last 10 years. I mean, let's step back and reflect on where we're at. First of all, it's great to hear that everything's on the table when Parliament isn't even in session. The people of Canada have elected their representative to sit in the House and address these types of issues. Parliament should be recalled immediately. The fact that we're all discussing these issues and lots of smart people are weighing in is great. But here's a thought. The people that are elected by Canadians should be talking about this in Parliament. There is nothing stopping the Prime Minister from recalling Parliament and having those people that are duly elected by Canadians that represent the will of Canadians discussing one of the biggest economic crises in the last decade. And second to that, there may not be this sense of unity because a lot of this falls on the Prime Minister's shoulders. We have a weakened, vulnerable economy, and that is all on him. It's not on President Trump. So we go into a trade war being one of the most unproductive countries in the OECD, having not addressed these issues when we knew Trump was going to be elected. We knew this at the end of October, definitely the beginning of November. Did we do anything to pivot to make our economy more competitive? No, we did nothing. In fact, we raised capital gains taxes on inventors and entrepreneurs and small business owners, which has been a drain on the economy. We can't attract capital into this country, and we have an issue of productivity and job creation. And now we're facing a president, which we knew wanted to create the most competitive country in the world. And he's doing exactly that in a very bold fashion. So it's not just about how we retaliate, it's about how we get our own house in order. And how have we responded? We've done nothing to date. I would also say this. I don't, because I'm upset at the way the Prime Minister's run the country, does not mean I am pro-Trump or pro his agenda, but I have to ask the Prime Minister, I have not heard him address the issue of fentanyl once. I don't know a lot about fentanyl. I do know that precursors were a problem even when we were in government a decade ago. They continue to be a problem coming in from China into Canada. We know that there's been busts of super labs that are created just for export of fentanyl to the United States. So even if the fentanyl issue is a small one, we have not heard the Foreign Minister of Canada, the Prime Minister of Canada, mention anything about this other than to say, we're not Mexico, we're not the problem. What if we're a tiny bit of the problem? Why can't we at least address the issue? It would just close one of the doors that seems to be open for the president to walk through and attack us on. So I would say on a number of fronts, I don't feel a ton of confidence that I feel like we've been just waiting for this trade war. And now of course, we're going to have to retaliate. We have to walk into this and do as much as possible to retaliate dollar for dollar. But that could also include retaliating on oil and gas, which is a terrible policy idea.
I don't know if retaliatory tariffs are the answer, but I do know that anyone that's still supporting this government has absolutely lost their marbles. And I understand you want it to work. I understand you hate the other side, But the only thing that matters is outcome. And the outcome, this vulnerable position that we're in right now, is because of the Liberals and the NDP that prop them up. I'm not tribal. If they were doing a good job, if we had good outcomes, I don't care what side wins. The whole world can see it, and the only reason that Canadians don't is because they watch mainstream media and censored content on the internet. Also, they're not reading bills in the House. They're not really understanding this, and it's way easier for them to point fingers at Orange Man bad than to be self reflective and to own the fact that most of you voted for this, and these are the results. So, again, guys, put your attention on what you can control. That's money, your business. If you are going to share things politically, make sure that you're actually activated politically, like pick up the phone, talk to your local politicians. If you want help with your business, you know where to find me. I have a ton of free content coming out here to support you guys. If you're not able to work with us, I'm continuing to put more stuff on the YouTube channel, on the podcast, and in the free community that we're launching soon. These are scary times. They're real. And I'm not trying to add to the divide. My goal is not to make people angry, but to simply highlight what's actually true. This is actually true and what we need to pay attention to. I hope you guys like what we're doing over here on the podcast, highlighting what you need to pay attention to, but hopefully you're getting some solutions out of this as well. If this helped you, please consider sharing this episode to your stories, share it with friends and family, share it with other business owners. And I'll see you guys for another episode here soon. Take care.